So I want to show you guys hanging your knitting back onto the machine to knit in another direction. So here's this little swatch that was cast on and knit and cast off. And we want to turn it so the purl side is facing us. Although technically you could play with what side is facing, maybe to even have a reverse, a patchwork of purl side and knit side. All like purl and knit being shown on one plane could be interesting, could be beautiful. Anyways, we want to pick up in probably the same column for the cleanest edge. I find this is really nice to see on the knit side, so maybe you determine that you're going to pick up 2 stitches in from the edge. And so I'll go in from behind and just sort of determine what that looks like on the purl side. So that's like this column here. So I'll insert my transfer tool into one of the stitches and just hang it on the machine. And remember that the knitted stitch, which is sort of represented by our needles here, is wider than a row. And technically we're picking up rows right now and hanging it on the machine, which will then create a knitted stitch. So you want to hang maybe 2 rows and then skip the 3rd row. Hang 2 rows, skip the 3rd row. And it's important to stay consistent in that column that we determined. And we're skipping that 3rd row because every 2 knitted stitches is approximately 3 knitted rows. So it's just going to create a more like balanced connection between your like fabrics that are being knit in 2 different directions. So now you can take your yarn, maybe hang a weight, and by maybe I mean definitely hang a weight, and then you can knit. And I'm gonna quickly cast off. And we're gonna look at the fabric. I think like even this edge is really beautiful because you get that seam. But then here's the right side, which has a really clean seam, really clean edge as well. And I just wanna talk about maybe like, you know, this connection could be so beautiful if you just continued to hang your fabric on the machine. I think it would be really beautiful if you started to play with patching a knit side, excuse me, and a purl side. And what I want to talk about is picking up here. Here's a cast off edge and here's a side edge of knitting. If we were to hang this back on the machine, you would want to hang and pick up every stitch here. Every stitch, 1 stitch per needle on your machine. When we get to the side edge of the fabric, however, that theory applies where 3 rows of knitting is 2 knitted stitches. So you would hang 1 row, 1 needle, 1 row, 1 needle, and skip the 3rd row. So just always be thinking about the direction of your fabric as you're hanging it on the machine. Think about which side is facing, and remember that, you know, there are sort of endless possibilities, and all these little details can become design decisions.